Michael Jai White, wonderful to have you on the show. How you doing, man?
I'm great. Yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for asking. So there is absolutely loads I want to talk to you about. So let's get straight into, first of all, your new movie, The Island. Give me a brief rundown on the plot, because it's safe to say you are a man out for justice.
This is true. This is true. I'm a guy who left the island. You find out for what reasons later, but I investigate the passing of my brother, and we find that the culprit, the people involved, have a lot of nefarious things going on in the island. So I come back not only to avenge my brother, but to save the island I love and grew up on.
So tell me when this project first makes itself present in your life. Is it a script? Do you read a script for The Island? Is it a call from your agent? Is it a meeting? How does The Island first pop up on your radar?
Well, I got the script from Philippe Martinez, producer and longtime director, and just amazing person. He wrote the script. He got this. He and I believe a colleague did, and they studied myself and my wife. They did research. They looked at interviews of us, and he crafted an action movie to star us. Now, I didn't know this at first, right? So when I got the script from my manager, I read it and I was like, wow. I mean, I feel very comfortable in this role, and so did my wife. And we're like, wow, yeah, we're all for this, And so I'm kind of like thinking, who else would they have gone to with it? This is so specific. And so, only after when we met Philippe, he let us know the genesis of the script, and we were so flattered. It I got to tell you, it's amazingly flattering, not only to be, accepted for your work, but for someone to craft something based on who they feel you are internally, and especially someone that has learned and been around so much as Philippe. So I mean, again, that we were over the moon to do this and to work in Nevis. So that's the genesis of the script, and I don't know if that'll ever happen again.
That's awesome. And yes, The Island, it's St. Kitts and Nevis, isn't it? They look like a spectacular location for you to kick some ass, because one of the things that this role taps into is your incredible skill as a martial artist. Now, before we start talking about your particular skill set, I am interested to know, is the stunt team that you use when you choreograph these fights, is that like a traveling troupe of stunt people that you work with on every film, or is it done on a movie by movie basis with a new team for each film?
It's absolutely movie by movie, just as the acting is done movie by movie. I would not want to fight the same way if I'm playing a different character. So one character will fight one way, another character will fight another way. It should be as unique as the character itself. And in this one, basically, I traveled with my wife. We were the only one traveling there. So there's a team there. Ron Balicki was the fight coordinator, and we would collaborate, of course, because we got a lot of years of actual martial arts training, and I do a lot of. I love realism. In the same way that you'd like to be realistic in your acting, I like to be realistic in the fight scenes as well. So since I'm very versed in that, it's always a collaborative effort to fuse together the extraordinary, but make it feel like it's rooted in truth.
Yeah, and that realism clearly comes from years of training, which you have done. So, in the most basic level, let's just establish, what martial arts are you a black belt in?
Oh boy, yeah, there's several. I've got some in Shotokan, Tang Sudo, Taekwondo, Goju, Kyokushin, Kobudo. These are different arts, and I've done wushu kung fu as well. I have yet to do that on screen yet, and I'm looking forward to being able to show the wushu that I've done for years. But each martial art has its contribution, you know, um, and so I look at that like I kind of apply that in life too. So when I would get a black belt in one thing, I like to put a white belt on in another thing. So it keeps the learning going.
So, when it comes to preparing for a role, are you constantly having to factor into your life the training, the diet, the lifestyle choices, all these things that you have to be aware of and maintain so that you're able to perform in those scenes?
No, it's so part of my lifestyle. I would feel unbalanced if I didn't train. So it's and I look at it as a luxury. I look at training and working out and eating right as a right. You know, it's not a task. It's I don't know. It's lovely. It's in it. It's such a gift to be able to do that and feel good. And I don't know. I 3 days without working out makes me feel unusual.
So, in terms of your ability, there was a story that came out, I think maybe it was a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago, a story about you being at Legends MMA Training Center in Los Angeles, and people were talking about your perfect technique and how you kicked a punch bag so perfectly and with such force that the chain holding the bag actually snapped. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. I believe Joe Rogan spoke about that quite a bit. Yeah. Um, with proper technique and the fact that I'm a larger guy, I never looked at martial arts as I never wanted to use my size as a crutch. So I've always wanted to keep myself as technical as someone half my size. And that's one of the reasons I did wushu, which is very, very acrobatic to some degree. And you normally don't see people my size doing it. But for me to put myself through that makes me better. I love to strive for perfection. And so when you have accomplished technique at my size, it translates into, a lot of power. So, that would, that's, with destructive power comes all of that.
So you definitely did it. That's awesome. Thank you for confirming that, because there was a little bit of a conversation about the exact details, but that's great to get confirmation, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you. But I'm a little, because it's not like I did it on purpose, But it's I don't want to go around destroying things. But I did think the bag would have. It was quite a big bag, so I thought it would hold up, but it didn't.
So while we're talking technique, obviously that plays a huge part in the choreographed fight scenes in all your films, having the right technique and being able to perform these fight sequences with no one getting injured. I did see on Instagram you said that on the set of The Island, I think the wording was, someone got punched. The stuntman got punched. I ain't saying who did it, but it wasn't me. Has that actually ever happened to you?
Oh, being punched in the face?
Yes. Actually being hit in a movie fight scene, for real.
Oh, yeah. But, that happens when I'm working out. I'm a bit of a weirdo, because even sparring, when I get hit, well, the first thing I do is laugh about it. Even though it sucks, like there's a part of it that I weirdly celebrate. But And I grew up as a kid. I played rough, and so sometimes you get hit. Nobody intends on really doing it. You hope they don't. But yeah, every now and then something will slip. But not terribly, because you usually work with people who are professional and they don't intend on hurting you.
It's really interesting because I was reading a book on action stars called Last Action Heroes, and there was a whole chapter on Steven Seagal, and it talks about how he became quite famous for actually, I think the phrase is tagging, hitting the stunt people he was working with in choreographed fight sequences. He'd hit them for real.
He's very well known for doing it, and I've seen it firsthand. Um, it's not a nice thing. I mean, he does it with people he can get away with doing that to.
I get you. Yes, yeah, I get you. So to go back to the beginning of your journey, which is what I want to do now, tell me what sparked the interest in martial arts in your life in the first place. Where did it begin for you?
Well, to be honest with you, it had to be insecurity. I tell you, growing up in Bridgeport and in Brooklyn, I was a very insecure kid. I mean, I was, I had the heart of an artist, but I grew up in a very rough area, and what you tend to do is build armor. And so my armor was the martial arts. And when I closed my eyes to dream or daydream, I'd become this monolith, and I trained and I wanted to be able to, create that armor for my my heart, and because a lot of things affected me more than, like, say, my brother who grew up in the same household. So I delved deep into the martial arts, and luckily I got my security through that.
Well, Michael, we are going to be talking more about your career as we go on this journey because you have very kindly agreed to leave this reality and enter a dimension of pure film where our virtual cinema awaits. You are our guide. We are your audience. Let's go on a trip to the movies. So we push open the doors to our temple of film and find ourselves in the foyer. There's an excited buzz, as there always is in a cinema foyer, the hum of anticipation. It's your perfect cinema trip, Michael. Who have you picked, living or dead, to go with you?
I'm picking my wife, Gillian White. Absolutely. That is my best friend, and I have the best time with her than any person on the planet.
I think I saw a quote from you saying that Gillian has made you the best version of you.
Oh yeah, that's true. I had to become the best version of me to justify being with her, or it would have made sense.
So, in terms of actually working together on films, was that just a natural evolution? Was it a case of, we get on so well, we work in the same profession, why don't we start making movies together? And was there ever a conversation about, should we or shouldn't we do this?
No, it's just very natural. It's like if you make each other the best versions of themselves. And so, I mean, we naturally did everything together, and she trained with me in martial arts. That wasn't a plan. She enjoyed it. She's an athlete, and so she enjoyed training with me. We never had a plan for her to do movies. So these things just naturally happen. And as it is, it's hilarious now that, like, I was just on a set a couple of days ago on something that I've just been hired for. I'm an actor in the piece. And it's almost like people are wondering, like, well, where's Gillian? I'm like, well, she's not in this cast. But it's like people expect to see the two of us. It's a weird thing, but it's a lovely thing. But in the TV show that I'm one of the leads in, Kingdom Business, it was the producers who asked to have Gillian join the cast as my love interest. So it's nothing of that weird. It's just happening naturally. This movie, again, happened naturally. It's not, I know folks would think that we were behind it, but it's just not the case.
Right then, Michael, it's you and your wife, Gillian, going to the cinema. So there's a clock on the wall in the foyer. It reads a specific time. What time of day are we going to the cinema?
We're going at 1 o'clock because our daughters our daughters are in school. We don't really like crowds. The popcorn is fresh. There's almost nobody in the theater, so and if there's nobody in the theater, we could talk about it. We could, so yeah, it's like a massive theater, sometimes to ourselves.
Solid reasoning there, and very considerate. If you want to talk, have an empty auditorium. I'm happy with that. I like it, Michael. 1 p.m. It's when we're going. All right. You booked the tickets for this trip, Michael. Thank you very much. Where in the auditorium are we going to be sitting?
Well, if I book the ticket, that'll be like the first time ever. So, that's in a dream sequence, I guess. Because she usually books them because she's good at that type of stuff. But we always try to get the middle. There's a theater we go to. We get, these luxury chairs that recline and all that kind of stuff. And so, try to get dead center.
So they are the most popular seat choices on the show. Middle of the middle. The seats where, according to numerous guests, the perfect cinema sound can be found. Okay, the final thing we need before we begin our journey towards the auditorium is, the air in the foyer is full of wonderful smells. All manner of snacks and foodstuffs are available at the various counters. What are you choosing to eat?
It's going to be popcorn. That's a safe one. It's a fun one. She teases me for my technique because I have this technique of I just shovel it in my mouth like that. But and then if I strategically try to crunch like around the in the silent portions of it. But yeah, it's popcorn every time.
Okay, so in the UK, we have two options for popcorn. Well, three. So you can have sweet or salted or a mixture of the two. Those are the only options in the UK. I believe that's different in the US. What are you having on your popcorn?
Oh, it's salty. It's salty, and if she's making it, it's going to have a lot of butter in it. It's probably the worst thing you could probably put in your body. But yeah, it's in a pump, and I try to just not use my imagination. But yeah, you pump the butter into that stuff, and it's
Well, I personally, I look forward to pumping some of that delicious chemical butter onto my popcorn one day. Okay, we have got everything we need. It is time to leave the foyer, and we push open the doors into the corridor that leads down towards the auditorium. Now, the corridor is looking pretty bare at the moment, so what I'm going to do is put up some posters that depict your most important movie memories, Michael. And the first poster I'm putting up depicts your fondest movie memory.
I think my fondest movie memory might be like when I saw Grand Canyon for the first time. I saw Grand Canyon, and I learned that movies could be like real life. And I thought, wow, who made this movie? Because it was so truthful. I felt like it was this ensemble thing that just made me kind of want to do movies.
So I don't think I've seen this movie. Grand Canyon is a gap on my movie CV. So tell me a little bit about this movie and why it is your fondest movie memory, what you loved about it.
Well, it's hard to say what the movie is because it was one of these movies where like you it's very realistic. There's Kevin Alfie Woodard, Steve Martin. There were such a an array of actors who had all these different lives that kind of came in and intertwined with each other. And it just was like this slice of life reality. It was the first movie of its type that I've seen. There's a lot of movies like that now, like Crash. If you're familiar with Crash.
Yes, yes.
The first Crash for me. Yeah, so, and I was quite young when I saw this, and I thought, wow, movies could be like real life. And I was so surprised because whoever made that movie really knew people and an array of people, because I think they were very truthful. Especially there was this inner city story that involved Alfre Woodard and her bringing up a son who was trying to kind of, it was kind of in the middle of the gang life in LA. And it was so truthful. And I wasn't used to seeing movies that depicted that type of lifestyle truthfully. I didn't see that till later, till I saw Menace to Society. But I was really shocked at just the span of true to life storytelling in that movie.
Right then, that is our first poster going up. Grand Canyon depicts your fondest movie memory. Okay, we continue down the corridor. It's time to put up our second movie poster. And this poster, Michael, depicts your worst movie memory.
Oh, yeah, that's easy. I was like maybe 6 or 7, and I went with my brother and my older cousins to see Five Fingers of Death, which was the first martial art movie that I ever saw. I was way too darn young, and they were ripping out people's eyeballs. Well, in the movie, and it was horrific to me. And not only did I have to watch people getting their eyeballs poked out, and the guy would hold, and then this guy with was and he's still getting beaten up with no eyeballs. I'm like, this is horrible. But I had to see it two more times, because at this time, when we were young, you see the movies over and over, and I had to watch that like 2 or 3 times. And so it's amazing that I would be into martial arts. That didn't run me away from it. But yeah, that was horrific, and I got even with my brother later on, so it's okay.
And what was your revenge?
Yeah, there's too many things to choose.
So this movie, Five Fingers of Death, I think I'm right in saying this came out in the US. This predates Enter the Dragon, and this really was the movie that started the kung fu craze in America in the 70s.
I believe it was the first martial art movie released in America. There was a guy named Lo Lee. It was weird because it used there was a theme from Ironsides, a TV show that starred Raymond Burr, and the theme, they used that theme in the movie when he gets the 5 fingers of death. He basically gets the iron fist. He plunges his hands into hot coals, and he gets this glow. His hands radiate, and then the theme from Ironside starts to play. I gotta watch this movie again. But this movie, it's got to have been, really early 70s.
And Quentin Tarantino pays a very literal homage to this movie, Five Fingers of Death, in Kill Bill, doesn't he? Because the wee, it's better in the movie.
That's it.
When a fight starts in Kill Bill, that's from Five Fingers of Death. And, of course, the eye gouge in Kill Bill Volume 2.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Right then, that is a poster for the Five Fingers of Death going up as your worst movie memory. Next up, we're putting up a poster that depicts the last performance, Michael, that brought you to tears.
That would have to be Blue Bayou. That movie, that they crafted the ending so well. That was like a slow burn, and if anybody wants to get a cry out, see that movie. Well, it hit you unexpectedly too, and yeah. So
Okay, so this movie, Blue Bayou, this only came out in 2021,
yeah,
so we won't do the ending. We won't do a spoiler, but it's safe to say you love this film.
yes, it's amazing. It's an amazing movie.
And were you in the cinema
No.
when you cried? Were you in public? Do you mind crying in public?
No, I'm not happy to cry in public. And last time I did that, I think I was born.
Wait. So the last time you cried was when you were born.
Yeah, a doctor slapped me. A doctor slapped me and held me upside down.
I mean, this is a huge vote of confidence for the film Blue Bayou. They should put that on the poster. It made Michael Jai White cry for the first time since he was born.
Well, we're talking publicly crying.
Well, that is a huge vote of confidence for Blue Bayou. If anyone wants to see it, this is the first movie since he was born that made Michael Jai White cry. Okay, it's time for our final poster, Michael, and this final poster depicts your unpopular movie opinion.
Oh, my unpopular movie opinion? Well, yeah, a lot of people get mad at me on this one. They don't agree with me on this one, but I did not enjoy Usual Suspects.
Whoa.
Probably because I'm too close to movie making or something. I saw the movie early, right? When, it wasn't so much of a big you gotta go see it type of thing. Well, early in the movie, Gabriel Byrne is sitting there. He's kind of like, like the first scene in the movie. Someone approaches him, and Gabriel Byrne looks foiled. And so there's this mysterious person who is carrying a gun in his right hand and then moves the gun to his left hand. And then there's a camera move that goes from his right hand to his left hand. Gabriel Byrne registers. There's a shot, him looking from the guy's right hand to his left hand. And I'm going, what the hell? Why are they doing so much to show that this assailant is left-handed? And then why, if you were right-handed, why would you put your gun in your left hand to shoot someone? Why? And so I'm sitting there going, why all the attention to this person shooting a gun with their left hand? And so the moment I see Kevin Spacey with a lame left hand, I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, okay, I don't know what this movie is about, but that's the guy that just shot him. Because, I thought it was about obvious. So I'm sitting here going, what the hell? Okay, if these guys are so suspicious of everything, please ask him about his left hand. Please please just give me Kevin Spacey. Just give me a scene where he explains something happened to his left hand, so I could at least put this to bed. So you go, okay, they did their work. But so the whole movie, I'm like, that guy. I didn't even know that it was supposed to be a whodunit. I'm like, why are they showing this guy shooting a gun with the left hand? That's so bizarre, because I'm just thinking reality. I'm always thinking reality. So I'm going, who would do that? Boom. What, like, just think of yourself doing that. Just if you were right-handed, why would you shoot a gun with your left hand? And then all the fanfare of, I mean, there's a camera that goes, you that tracks the gun moving from the right hand to the, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too close to it, but to me that was like, come on now. Yeah, I'm mad at them because they didn't offer at least a suggestion of, like this, just lie and say that you blew your left hand up or something. Like, that's all. I know it's you, Kevin Spacey, but just give us a reason that all these guys, nobody would question you. Everybody just believes you. And, I thought everybody knew it's this guy. But that's just me, I guess.
All right, Michael, we've reached the last set of doors and we push them open and enter the auditorium. Now, before we get to the movie, you have decided to play for us this afternoon at 1 p.m. It's first time to play a few other things on the big screen, and the first thing we're going to play is a trailer for the movie you are most looking forward to seeing at the cinema.
Well, that would be Trouble Man. Absolutely.
So tell me about Trouble Man, because this has a great cast. Yourself, Orlando Jones, Method Man in it. It's an action comedy. You tell me.
Yes, it's an action comedy. Got some drama and romance, everything in it. So, I'm playing a character very, very reminiscent of a Shaft, like an updated Shaft. And, we've lost Richard Roundtree this past year, rest in peace. I was lucky to work with him and know him quite well. But I want to do homage to what he's done and what he's left us with. And I grew up on movies like this, and there's far too few of them. So I was happy to try to fill this void.
And I think this is your fourth time directing a movie. This is movie number 4.
Yeah, I guess it's technically the fourth time director. I've directed some things that I'm not credited for, but it's 4 or 5. I'm not sure.
And you've written it as well. So talk to me about the writing process, when it began. When did you start working on Trouble Man?
Well, the script was originally written somewhere close to 20. It was a version of it 20 years ago. It didn't. It got passed on, but I believed in it, and I then would do rewrites on it. And so I'd been rewriting the thing for almost a couple of decades. Years would go by, I'd go back to it, and then it got to the place where it was sought after, and then we got a chance to do it.
And it's coming out later this year, right towards the end of the year. Is it September?
Yeah, September. We finished shooting it just at the end of November.
Okay, that is the trailer for Trouble Man we have played on the big screen. Now it is time to play on the big screen the movie moment that makes you literally or metaphorically pump your fist in the air.
My moment is I am Indigo Montoya. You killed my father.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And by the time Mandy Patinkin says, when the guy says, when Christopher Guest says, when Mandy Patinkin gets him to promise him anything.
So good. So good.
And what does he want? He wants his father back, and then he just takes him out. That moment is just so, I just love the build to that moment. That's my favorite triumph moment.
That's it. You're absolutely right, isn't it? It's the build, because it's the rule of 3. I think he says 3 things. I think he says, offer me money, promise me power too, and then offer me everything I ask for. And the guy goes, Christopher Guest goes, anything you want. Yeah. And then it's, I want my father back, you son of a bitch.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, just I can't, I mean, talk about a build into a crescendo, and that's just, and it's humor, everything. That arc is everything to me.
He's a great villain as well, Count Rugen, played by Christopher Guest, as you mentioned. Really good villain. I'd love to know, because you've worked with one of modern cinema's great villains. He's often mentioned on the show. You're fantastic in The Dark Knight, and you saw firsthand Heath Ledger, the late Heath Ledger, performing as the Joker. What was that like to witness in that room when he gate crashes that meeting? Because it's really the first time where we really get to meet the Joker.
Oh, Heath was just amazing to work with, and I mean, he was so playful and approachable. And there were times where you want to, I was just trying to give him his space, but he wouldn't have any of that. He was really just very pleasant, and because I was shocked just being that is Christopher Nolan, and then you got like Heath Ledger there. You just kind of go, wow, you got these people on this, really incredible level, but two of the nicest guys you ever want to meet. I'm like, Christopher Nolan is just so kicked back, and it was just so unexpected. So that was a wonderful opportunity. It was a really wonderful opportunity. No tension, no stress whatsoever on that set that I've saw.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And that's amazing to hear, because, I mean, obviously, Heath died tragically. He passed before The Dark Knight came out. And it's almost become mythologized, this idea that he never broke character, that he was the Joker, and this role overcame him. And you're saying that that wasn't the case when you were on set with him.
Yeah, I really can't stand when people try to connect that. It's more about them than the reality of the situation, because it's not like he had some darkness that's a narrative everybody wants to write. He did not pass away at Dark Knight. He passed away during the filming of Dr. Parnassus, the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, a completely different movie. And it had nothing to do with The Dark Knight. I mean, like I said, this guy was playful on set. He was doing magic tricks. We would trade magic tricks. So we like to do sleight of hand stuff and everything. And his playful quality came through. When he's got the hand sanitizer and things like that. It showed he was in a playful kind of situation. I don't know. I wasn't in every scene with him, but around what I saw was a guy that was very much not in character. So I don't like to buy into that dark thing, because the timing is off, tremendously off. But people really want to connect it with Dark Knight.
I mean, that's so interesting to hear, because that does seem to be the narrative that was out there for a long time, and still in some corners is, because the character is so famous, and somehow by becoming the Joker. Yeah, I think it's... that's it. I think people said he was a method actor. That's right. People said he was a method actor, and because he was a method actor, he couldn't leave the character behind, or something like that.
Well, he left the character behind, and he was doing another character. And I mean, that was not like the Joker. So that's just, just people want to write. They want to write what they see in their head. Yeah.
Right then, time to play something else on the big screen. And this time we're going to play what you, Michael, consider cinema's most shocking moment.
I would have to say the most shocking moment that I've experienced was the end of Friday the 13th. I believe it was the first one.
Oh, that's a great one.
Jason jumps out of the water and snatches the woman. Man, everybody in the theater jumped up. So that's, I don't know if you get more shocking than that. That freaked out everybody.
That's a great one. I think that is one of cinema's greatest ever, if not oh my God, going out on a limb here, the greatest ever jump scare. That is so scary. How old were you when you saw it?
I don't know, but they've been doing that jump scare to death, have they not? Oh my goodness! Yeah, that jump scare is like, I don't know. That just, they should. Too bad that Friday the 13th doesn't have royalties on the jump scare thing.
Okay, we're playing a cinema's most shocking moment, the jump scare at the end of Friday the 13th, the original Friday the 13th. Right, next up, through the Dolby Atmos speakers, Michael, we're going to play the line of dialogue that most affected you.
What line of dialogue? Oh boy. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. I really, I think of Unforgiven. Yeah, I think of Unforgiven when Clint Eastwood says, it's a hell of a thing killing a man. You take, you take away all he has, and all he's got and all he'll ever have. Yeah, and I love the fact that he rooted this genre that he was so much a part of, but he rooted it so deep in reality, for that movie. That was just so cool. And then it's like, I don't know. I looked at it a little bit beyond movies. Is that leapt from a film to reality to me, because that's what is going on when anyone takes a life, and to even think about that. And I do a lot of outreach and motivational speaking in at-risk communities, and that really is something that I kind of touch on. It's that statement has really affected my life and made me look at things a certain way.
That's incredible. And it is quite a moment in the film. I mean, I think I remember watching it, and I think you can kind of see, because there's the young actor who plays the Schofield kid. I can't quite remember his name now. He has taken a life in that scene for the first time. And you can really see it in him, because he's been bragging before that about how easy it would be. And then in that moment, you can see the effect it actually had on him taking a life.
Yeah, that moment, that echoes to today. There's so many youngsters who want to get that badge of honor and, want to be badasses and all that type of stuff, not thinking about the real depth of the whole thing and how it affects their lives. And I just love that moment, because it brings that kid into reality as well. Doesn't want to be a gunfighter anymore, And I wish this day and age, our young, kind of impressionable kids can look deeper into what that badge of honor, that false badge of honor, might really be. So yeah, I think that's one of the most powerful lines in movie history to me.
Right then, that line from The Unforgiven, it echoes round the auditorium. So, nearly at the movie you've picked for us tonight. Next, we are going to play the best use of music in a movie.
Gotta be Saturday Night Fever. It's gotta be. Yeah. And I was thinking about, I almost said Purple Rain, but Saturday Night Fever to think that music was done separately from the movie.
But I didn't know that. I did not know that.
And all of those hits that the Bee Gees did, without seeing the movie, they didn't see the movie. They did not see the movie. So it's amazing. No songs could fit a movie better. They didn't know what the movie was. Yeah, so to me that can't be topped.
Right, Michael, it is now time to reveal to Gillian and myself, who's still here, a bit of a gooseberry, what we are watching at 1 p.m. in the middle of this auditorium out of all other movies. What have you picked for us to watch, Michael?
The movie I picked for you to watch tonight, that's going to be Outlaw Johnny Black. Because I'm trying to, I tend to like movies that just touch on several things at once. And even though, I wrote it and directed it and what have you, I want to share what kind of makes me tick. And I have such a love for the Western genre. I'm a child of Monty Python. I'm a child of great Westerns, and like we talked about with Clint Eastwood and Unforgiven and all these things. I think it's a movie that wraps our entire conversation up in one movie. So that would be the movie I would want people to go out and see.
And there it is. The Outlaw Johnny Black has finished playing on the big screen. The curtains are closing. The guests are milling out, smiling, chatting, and thanking you for taking them on an incredible afternoon at the movies. But before you go anywhere, Michael, it is time for the big question. Time for you to tell us an exclusive, never-before-heard story about your career, past, present, or future.
One of the most bizarre things that ever happened is I believe it was about 93. I was the lead. I was considered the lead for a movie called Build a Fort, Set It on Fire. It was from Propaganda Films. I was considered to play the life of Jean-Michel Basquiat, to play the lead.
Whoa.
Yes. And it was the most bizarre thing, one of the most bizarre things I've ever experienced, because I read the script. No, well, first I got the audition. I was unknown. I'd just done theater. I had a theater background. But I, knew it was about Jean-Michel Basquiat, and I'm going, there's no way I could play this guy. I'm 235 pounds and muscular. This guy is an artist that was famously on heroin, and he was maybe 100 pounds. So I reacted to the audition thinking, okay, well, I'll clearly be auditioning for something else, because there's no way on the planet that I could play this role. But I kept getting callbacks. And when I get callbacks, it would be me in a room full of Lenny Kravitzes, and so I'm like, okay, maybe they're thinking about me as the bodyguard for this. I don't know what's going on. But I kept getting callbacks. And eventually, Joanna Ray, who was one of the top casting directors at that time, she really was rooting for me, and she loaned me a video cassette of Jean-Michel Basquiat, a birthday party that a friend of his gave her. So she wanted me to study it for my next callback. And I look at it at home, and sure enough, the guy's little. He's like, and I'm like, what are they seeing? What's going on? I feel like this is a long prank being pulled on me. And so I go for yet another audition. There's only a couple of Lenny Kravitzes left, right? And then next thing I know, I'm the guy reading with other people who are auditioning. And I'm going, do you see me? Like, what's going on? And so this most bizarre thing, I'm reading with major actors. And they're like, this is our guy. eventually, that project got shelved, right? It got put on hold. I forget what happened. I don't know if it had something to do with financing or whatever. But in that next year, I landed the role of Mike Tyson. And so that was my launching. The next year, they revamped the script and they called it Basquiat. And Joanna Ray and everybody were contacting me. We're getting it going again. And I'm like, clearly, you must be out of your mind. Now you see, I did a movie as Mike Tyson. I am enormous. I can't possibly. And so I didn't respond. I just was like, I'm not going to make a fool out of myself. You guys, I don't know what you're thinking of. To be honest, I felt like I had a good grasp on the character, but I have a good grasp on reality as well. And me walking around shirtless as a heroin addict, I mean, really, that's not going to make sense. Years later, and here's the final. Years later, when I met up with Joanna Ray during Kill Bill, I asked her, "Okay, Joanna, between you and me, years back when you guys were considering me for Basquiat, what were you thinking? Did you not notice the size I was?" She says, "Oh, we just figured that you'd lose weight." I'm like, they were totally, they had no sense of reality. You know, if I had gotten down to, maybe physically I could have gotten down to 180, but I would have been ripped to shreds. I would have looked like an anatomy. I would have looked like a fitness professional. And, so that's my story. Never told it to anybody to this day. Yeah.
That is an incredible story. Michael, thank you for sharing that with us. What a wonderful answer to the big question. And that is it. Your taxi has arrived to ferry you back to reality.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I had a good time.